So it really made me stop and think for a minute and think like, well, what was it that made him stay? And if you hear over the pulpit a lot of times, people will say, like in the context of the temple, they'll say, the temple does not save you. Jesus Christ saves you.
So how do we deal with, like, as members maybe who want to stay faithful? Because I feel like it would have been really easy for me to just drop out, just to bow out of here and just not deal with it. But I want to stay. And so maybe for other people like me who want to stay faithful and value their membership in the church or value their faith, how can we deal? And I'm asking you from my heart as well, because I really grapple with this all the time, is how can we deal with this tough history and, still want to stay faithful?
Yeah, man. Like look, I can't go back and change history. I don't think that any of us really can do that. But this is what's interesting to me is, personally for me, I had the privilege, man. This was like I always looked at pictures of Elijah Abel, okay? And what's interesting is, if you Google it, I actually kind of look like him a little bit. Like I do. And so, but I played him in a movie. And so as part of that role, I got a chance to just try to learn as much as I could about him.
Is it available anywhere to watch?
So it's gonna, so
is
literally,
it not out yet?
It will be out pretty soon. So I'm actually going to the premiere this Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, Thursday? Today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to go to the...
Okay, so April 8th
the premiere, yeah.
Is the premiere for you.
For me, and then I think that, I don't know if they're going to do it, they said maybe potentially June or even a Pioneer Day. It's this is when it might come out. So,
sweet.
So June or July, but it's done. It's, but it's like, the process of I try to learn as much as I could about him. I try to get into the who this man was. Imagine he is a person who had the priesthood, and then he was not able to use. I just want to mention on this. If you read Doctrine and Covenants section 84, the priesthood is highly connected. It's all about the ordinances that allow us to make it into the presence of God. And here you have a man who now cannot enter into the temple, and he petitions the rest of his life to be able to do this. But the thing is, he still stayed. Now, Elijah Abel Elijah Abel is not... He didn't stumble across some book and that he read and he lived through this. Jane Manning James, she lived through this and she still stayed. So it really made me stop and think for a minute and think well, what was it that made him stay? And if you hear over the pulpit a lot of times, people will say, in the context of the temple, they'll say, the temple does not save you. Jesus Christ saves you. I think that Elijah Abel stayed because of his connection and his relationship to Christ. That's why I think he stayed. I think that Jane Manning James, I think she stayed. I don't know. I haven't talked to her. I think that she had this was not these pioneers, all of them. Greenflake, right? A lot of people don't know about Greenflake. You can name any pioneer, whatever race these people, they physically... They went through the temple once and they went across the plains, but the temple was in them. The covenants, the promises that God gave them weren't just ideas. You got me? They were in them. They had a strong relationship with him, regardless of what was going on with the organization of the church. Does that make sense? And that I really wrestled with that for a bit. Why did he stay? And I think a lot of it, and I don't know, I haven't gotten an answer from him. But I think that when you talk about the history and when you find and you discover these things, I have to look to myself and think, what is my personal relationship with Christ? like I said before earlier, like Jesus Christ is the hero. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was from Stephen Harper. I remember I was in a meeting and he was presenting material about the history of the church. And he's like, Joseph Smith's not the hero. Jesus is the hero. And I think that like, if you look, I have this whole like list that a colleague of mine gave me of like the merits of Christ. So if you search the word Christ and you look up merits, and there's a ton of them, right? He has the ability to reconcile. He has the ability to uncover. He has the ability to redirect. He has the ability to do whatever, to change, to allow things to become new again. And I feel like we have to really allow ourselves to dwell in that and to marinate on that for a bit. Like, think about it. You can't mess his work up. Now, are there people? Because as I've thought through this, like with like Elijah Abel, there's people who Martins, right? He's over in Brazil. He's one of the leaders now in the church. He remembered, like he had to wait to receive the priesthood. There are people like that. There are people who died who didn't have the priesthood, right? Who weren't able to seal their families. But you can't mess his work up. They still will be able to have access to all the blessings, all things, inherit all that he has. Still, there's still access to that, right? And so, was it unfortunate? Of course it was. But I think Jane Manning James, Elijah Abel, their witness of Christ is even stronger now, if you really think about it. And I'm not saying you can't, that's not a justification, but that's like, they know that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. They proved it with not just their words, but what they did. That's just my perspective, man. I can't speak for nobody else. I can't speak for anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like I just had that experience to be able to play him and think like, man, like how did he do that? And that's kind of some of the thoughts that came to me.